Here.
Kane.
Here.
McDermott. Pingleton.
Here.
Special meeting compliance statement read.
I, the undersigned clerk of the Board of Education of the Alva Independent School District, number 1 of Woods County, Oklahoma, certify that the notice of the date, time, and place of the special meeting was given at least 48 hours prior to this meeting to the office of the county clerk of Woods County. I also certify that at least 48 hours prior to this meeting, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays, notice of the date, time, place, and agenda of this meeting was posted in prominent public view. The office of the superintendent.
Thank you. Item 3 is presentation by Coben, Mertz, and Haney and Kyle Construction concerning Washington Early Childhood Center exterior restoration project and a future bond issue construction project. So, Ms. Shears, I'm going to hand it over to you to make introductions.
So I wanted to, feel like we need to have a meeting, go over where the architectural plans are and where we're at, all the plan steps. We can mull that over for a minute here and have some discussion. Look towards the resolution, maybe a month from now or so.
Okay.
The bond election. So I've asked our architects, Ken Corbin and Aaron Haney are here. Corbin, Mertz, and Haney, and also Ross Kyler and Company with Kyler Construction Management Company to come talk about the donation at Washington and that exterior renovation and also proposed bond issue project. So, Aaron,
Yeah.
start with you.
Well, thanks for having us back. This is really exciting. It's been a while since we've seen you, and we've got some fun things doing, working really hard. So I'm really excited to show you what we've been working on. Feel free to stop me anytime to ask questions.
Thank you.
So the first project that I want to go over is the exterior Washington project. We've worked on this for quite a while. Really, this project is in 2 different phases, or 2 different parts. So the first part would be the exterior materials restoration work, and really what that is just helping maintain the building to keep the longevity of this building intact. So what we're looking at there are cleaning up the masonry. You usually do some stain removal at that time. You reseal the brick and the mortar. They will go around the entire building and do a selective tuck point, so for any of the failed mortar joints. And then also they will put new sealant on the cast stone, or you've got cast stone sills and coping, and selective brick replacement if needed. And that's only if they come across 1 or 2 that's completely destroyed. So that would be the first part. The second part would be more of site improvements. The site improvements would include removing and updating the signage out in the front, so that it is a lot larger and welcoming and cohesive with the design of the school. Also adding a screen wall to your existing transformer that's out there. Also removing the stairs that are at your front entry, and we would be, the next picture is great on this one. Here we go. So we've got a ramp basically that starts at the sidewalk and goes all the way in to make it more accessible for everybody at the front entrance. That goes directly into those offices. We also looked at removing some of the fascia and the signage at the front and repainting that just to clean that up a little bit. The ramp also has steel handrails. What is incorrect in this picture is we thought we needed to add a front ramp right here. So this whole set of railing and this ramp goes away, which is great because it saves you money. So this goes away, and really your 2 ramps to get on here are from this side and this side. You can go directly in that way. So there will be a lot less fence in the front. And then the last thing is adding ADA parking. So you currently don't have signage. Really, we're not having to redo concrete or anything like that. All this would consist of is really just painting new stripes and adding a sign, just so that you're code compliant at your school. Any questions on this project?
So just a quick question about the railing that's removed there. So would we only have the one piece of railing that's going up the slope right there?
Yeah, both sides. So yeah,
Okay.
on that side of the ramp and that side of the
So
ramp.
all the rest of the railing goes away and
Yes.
the modification to the curb
Yes,
goes away?
correct. Much clearer view to the front. Okay, we can go to the next one if you like. So this would be a part of the bond project that we're talking about. You are looking at the high school, and really what this project is a reconfiguration of your existing parking lot. So as you can see, a lot of your north parking lot didn't change. We added some parking in between these two buildings, with a more clearer path drive-through from this parking lot all the way down to this one. We added some parking spaces in here that gets you closer to this entrance, that we just came in. And then, also doing some repaving and making it clearer through here. And then as you come through the, parking lot that's off of Apache, we added this whole section right here, which is approximately, 28,000 square feet of additional parking spaces. We've also reconfigured some of your, center islands and, things like that, just to make it very clear. The directions that you're supposed to go, it really helps clean up traffic as people are driving through there. It helps slow down when you're supposed to slow down. And then also gives a more awareness to the direction that everybody is supposed to be driving. I think because of the size of this parking lot, this is a directional parking lot, meaning that you come in and it's a one-way parking lot. So you go around, you can come through and back up, or you can go around and come down here, turn around there, you can always come back out and go out there. All the other parking lots are designed to be dual direction. So, for instance, you can travel both ways. Here, there was enough space here, really everywhere else to be able to do that. We have a total number of all of this, 288 parking spaces. And, yep, I think that's all on that one. Are there any questions about this?
So how much was the increase in parking spaces?
I don't have that number. So, really, it's hard to tell, because especially like this parking lot area, some of these parking lots are a mix between concrete and gravel and things like that, so it's really kind of difficult. We did increase, but the number that I do know is 28,000 square feet.
And they'll all be resurfaced in, asphalt.
We are looking at concrete right now is what our prices will be, because concrete will last longer. But also, in looking at this project, it would be a good opportunity to also redo some of your sidewalks, just so that we have more clear paths, from one building to another, or things like cutting across so you don't have dirt paths and things like that. These are all things that we are still in the design phase talking about, what really makes sense. I've shown some of it. This is the sidewalks and things like that are a potential of what it could be, but really that part, we have not discussed much at this point.
So is there any improvement to what I'm gonna call the back door entrance that we have over here where the tree is?
Yes, so, there is currently no exterior building work, but that will be something that we're going to look at too. Majority of this project is solely parking lot at this time. Yes.
What was Rich Shears with the main entrance, be where those added parking lots are, right?
What we're trying to do is, when I talked to her, I wanted to pave everywhere everybody parks anyway, right? We park all over grass here. So let's just pave it, make parking, and try and advertise this entrance by the principal's office as the main entrance to the high school. So in the future, if we move central office back this direction, things like that, we'll have two clear defined spaces for that. And that's where that came from. So, and this would be a second, kind of additional to the bond if we feel like there's enough bond there that we want to tackle that project.
So if I'm a visitor and I've never been to Alva High School before, where's the signage to show me where the front of the building is, or how do I have to go clear through two huge parking lots to get to the front entrance?
Part of this project, the new signs to advertise where the triangle is, right off the gym there.
I think it's very convenient for the students and the faculty.
This one?
Yeah.
I think as a person who's visiting your school, it's very unfriendly.
have not discussed much of signage for new entrances or anything like that. Really what we're looking at now is how can we make the parking lot feasible? Just because we added parking here doesn't necessarily mean you have to add an entrance. That will be something that, that's a further discussion. Right now, really all we were looking at in this project was just paving what needs to be paved.
Looks amazing.
Yeah, it does.
And it's so needed.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
It's absolutely such an upgrade that it looks amazing.
And hopefully by doing something like this, then the next phase of moving some things around and bringing attention to the places that it will aid in that. The parking lot really needs to be one of the first things that happens to figure that out. But yeah, your points are absolutely very valid as far as visibility and making some.
Other questions?
This back side here behind what is currently the art room, the ag room and all of that, currently, if you have a middle school child that you bring up and you drop off at the facility, the back of there has been more of a circle of pickup. Is that gonna be accessible?
The idea was that it stays accessible. It's not paved, but the sidewalks are open, so it is a drive-through. So you can drive around the building. We can add concrete in there. We can look at what the numbers come back as, so we get a.
It's
full number.
concrete,
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
concrete.
but
Okay,
it's
okay.
falling off the hill.
Yes,
Concrete.
yes. It needs attention.
Well, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Great comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Anything else?
But we might as well go in there and shore that up and redo that if we're gonna use it as a circle eventually, or drop off or pick up to bring supplies into the ag building, they come in from the back way.
We know that when we did the art building, there was some deterioration of the subgrade underneath that paving. There was some collapse of that concrete paving. And we tried to deal with some of it, but we know there are some issues that can't be addressed. That, and we know there's an issue with the sewer line that exits the art building. It exits and runs this way towards the gym. And that may be something that we're gonna do this paving before we do that, to address that while the concrete tore up out of the way. We know that there's an issue there because we ran into that when
What
we were
about,
doing our building.
did we have some issues with electrical lines and,
I don't know
Water
about
lines?
electric, but plumbing for sure.
we didn't have some issues with the city of Alva, the fire department?
There
plumbing?
was an issue with the fire alarm, but I think that got addressed.
Any other questions?
So the first item in the bond issue will be the new elementary school. So this elementary school plan sits on 10 acres, consists of 82,350 square feet, building with a total of 148 parking spaces. At the front of the school, so this, the roads, okay. So the face of the building faces College Boulevard, and it is on the corner of Harper Road. So two main entrances that we have, one would be off College, with a big double entry, and then we also have the offsets, that helps with traffic, and then another one would be Harper. Depending on how the drop-off and pickups are configured, there's a lot of room in this plan for those things. So if you look at the school, at the front of the school, we have an entry plaza. The entry plaza, we will be relocating the Longfellow Bell in a new custom tower that complements the look of this school, but gives the bell new life in its new location. As you walk into the school, you will enter into a secure vestibule. Once you are in the secure vestibule, you will be given access by someone in the admin office area to come in, check in. Once you are checked in, then you are free to go to the rest of the school. Once you check in with the front front office, then you are going to enter a high impact center atrium. In this atrium, we looked at doing 2 very large display cases. Within those display cases, we wanted to bring in images and memorabilia, things of the old schools, of the elementary schools, that have meant so much to this community and have served well through many generations. So we wanted to give quite a bit of space in the center to do that. And as you look up, you will see a very large gold bug that's hanging at an angle. That gold bug will be hit from with a lot of light from the clear story windows that are up there as well, that are just hitting it from all directions. So that will be a really cool feature that's in that front center space. When you're standing in this atrium and you look to your left and your right, you will be looking down the progression of your classroom pods. So on all the pods on each side are connected in the middle with storefront glass. That glass is open on the east and the west side, allowing natural light to fill in. That's the center of the school, which will be a really nice asset in between the classrooms. So there are 4 classroom pods total and 1 activity pod. The front 4 pods will hold all the classrooms in the admin area. Each grade will consist of 4 classrooms each, with the exception being kindergarten. However, in this front kindergarten and pre-K class area, you have a flex classroom, we have a resource library, and an art room. All of those are the same size as a classroom, so they could be converted to a classroom if you needed for at that time. The classroom sizes are an average of 870 square feet, with pre-K and K being anywhere from 950 to 975 square feet. There are 2 special needs classrooms at each end. This classroom in particular has a large restroom that also has a shower in it. And then there is also a room in this pod that houses a washer and a dryer as well. There are 4 total flex classrooms that are all the same size as a regular classroom. And there are 3 art rooms, 1 in each pod except for this pod that has only first grade and the admin and media center and STEM lab. However, the media center and the STEM lab have lots of room to be able to do art and extracurricular activities in there as well. So while it doesn't have an art room, it has a lot of space that could be used for that. We have a large combined media center and STEM lab. So that, I think right now that is one of the current setups, is they're very close. And so we wanted to keep that because it seems to work really well. Each pod also consists of a teacher workroom and a separate private teacher bathroom, with another teacher workroom in the admin area that will house the mailboxes and large printers and things like that. Each pod also contains its own set of public restrooms, with the exception again of pre-K and K, but that is only because they have restrooms in each of the classrooms. All of the restrooms have wash bays that are on the corridor side, so that gives teachers more visibility as to things that are happening. We also put benches across from each wash bay, so if there is a classroom bathroom break, then it's a lot easier to control a child. We've heard this comment doing lots of schools. It's a lot easier to control a group of children when they have something to sit on that's not the floor. So that is a nice feature that we would like to add. So after you enter or exit out of those areas, you can walk up into the activity pod. One really cool thing about this pod is there is a big entrance that comes off that parking lot that can serve as a second entrance. This pod can also be shut off completely from the classroom pod. So if you have special events and things like that, it's very easy to keep it contained from here and up. We have public restrooms. In that pod, you also have a large cafeteria and a kitchen. The cafeteria can very easily hold, very comfortably hold 250 people. And the center, there's a center corridor right there that takes you to the gym. The gym has a regulation full-size high school basketball court, and has roughly 130 telescoping bleacher seats in it right now. Also, within the gym, that's where we have the platform, so your stage area. The music room is also back there. The music room has a feature where if there is a performance with the kids, they can all meet in the music room, and there's direct access to the platform from the music room as well. And that is also the ADA entrance to that as well. This area also contains this indoor activity center. So that will serve for two purposes. One, on a normal day basis, if it's a rainy day or an extra cold day, it's an extra space for the kids to play if they cannot go outside. The big thing that it is it's your storm shelter. So that storm shelter has 2 bathrooms. It is approximately 4,260 square feet. And the way that the code reads, the way that we have to configure using their calculations, it can hold around 811 people. That's the size that it would be for, which is more than you will ever have in that classroom in a day, or in that school. So, let's see. Are there any questions so far? I'm just kind of running through it really quickly.
The school is going to face west. So the front is towards the 281. So you're gonna enter off the highway? When did you switch that around? I thought it was gonna face.
Where we're acquiring the land, prefer to take more frontage from the highway than go deep.
Okay, so it's not gonna face south like we originally thought, because we were gonna,
Face west.
we were gonna enter off that side road where there wouldn't be any congestion
That's
off
why we got
281.
that, that's why we got that break in there where it's separate.
They were told, and getting that slow lane. as they
We
exit.
do have an
So-
exit off of Harper as well, or an entrance and an exit off of Harper as well. So
So-
depending on how you read it, sorry.
I was gonna say theoretically, you could come off of that side road,
Yes.
exit up there, swing around, drop at the front, and then you leave.
Take the left.
Yeah, so your flow would be that way.
Yes. Yeah, so you're never turning against traffic.
Right.
Or you could
Well,
make it a drop off and pick up where you
That's
did.
part of the discussion, of maybe a daily one-way driveway. Especially during pickup and drop off.
Good question on the connecting glass walls
Yes.
right there. One thing I worry about is grass right there, weed eating the glass walls. Is there a way to put something else than grass right there?
Absolutely. A lot of times what we do around the whole school is do a concrete sidewalk, so that it gives you that space, because you are exactly right. Having a mow strip, something that allows you to be able to take care of that landscape without being right
Right
next
up
to the
against
school.
the glass.
Yeah, absolutely.
What happens?
You don't want a rock garden there, that paving, or you could pave it, and it'd be a place for the kids to go out and be a little bit of an introduction into the building there. I wouldn't see grass coming back in there at all.
It won't grow anyway. Yeah.
It'd be hard to maintain.
Mhm.
But the glass would break up that corridor and give you some nice views out and direct access to the playgrounds, as well as it would be nice to look through the building all the way through the playgrounds, through the glass. Be a
Yeah,
nice thing.
speaking of the glass on each one, in the center of the glass, on the back side are doors, so that the sections of pods can go out to their specific playground. So there's a playground on this side that we have labeled as pre-K, K, and 1. There's concrete all the way around it for a bicycle track if you wanted to do that. Also, the inside would be turf. And then the same thing for the 2nd and 3rd grade playground. They can come out of these doors, and there's another track around that, and then turf in the center as well.
And that your turf idea would work there. We were viewing at least the possibility of synthetic turf in those, which would be on gravel with a drainage system under it, which would keep them dry. We could bring that turf right into that space and maybe just have like a 6-foot concrete apron on the door or something. We have a lot of options there.
Yes. In the back is where we have our large 4th and 5th grade playground. So that playground is east of the activity pod. You can come to that through the cafeteria, as well as, other sidewalks. We've got sidewalks going to it, from all directions. There is plenty of room on that grass for a full playground, soccer goals, football, plenty of run-around space. We also have a large paved area over here, that shows, currently what we have drawn on there is another full-size basketball court, so that they could play inside and outside. There is, it's a full-size, high school full-size regulation basketball court size there as well. Also, I want to mention that all of these playgrounds are fully enclosed by a fence, to help with, security as well. You will see that we have a large rolling gate here and a large rolling gate here. And those are used for two reasons. One would be fire trucks so they can get through. Also, this one specifically is right next to the kitchen. So if there is a food delivery, they can back up right here and they take the food directly into the kitchen without having to go to the school. There's 2 parking lots with plenty of space. The idea is that the buses can also be parked back here, far away from everything. Also, it's very easy with the setup that we have that the buses can easily pull out and go out and around without having to navigate through a whole bunch of cars and extra parking lots as well. We were concerned with keeping the bus travel safe with all the littles running around. Another thing that I wanted to mention is on our special needs classrooms on each side. We like to make those close to parking lots and also sidewalks going directly to those doors. So if you have instances where it's not feasible for the children to be able to come through the front, walk all the way through, there's another option to be able to park and bring them right in. That could be easier in certain circumstances. Are there any questions about this building?
It looks fun so far. And practical.
This is just the front elevation of some of the materials that we're looking at using. We have a brick facade with large overhanging porch. You can see the bell tower that we're creating there, flagpoles on either side. And then the upper would be metal panel walls. We have lots of signage, lots of walk-around space, but the idea is that this is a really welcoming building, especially with the angles that the walls, the angles of the walls really brings you to the center, and we think it could be a really, really neat space.
Are all these roofs flat?
So the term flat, yes, but no. There's really no such thing as a flat roof. We do have code requirements that there is a slope. Whenever we do a flat roof, there's always drainage, there's lots of scuppers, lots of drains, and it has a very good slope, it's just hidden. So we have parapet walls that hides all of the things that happen.
There'll be no standing water on this roof.
Yeah,
So it will be a membrane roof.
yes.
Are the units on the roof or the ground?
Roof is what we prefer. Usually when we do that, we have walking paths to all of them, but it's, easier maintenance, keeping them off the ground, a lot of things like you don't have leaves and all of that kind of stuff getting to them as well. Plus, it's also just not very pretty to look at. So when you have units, especially for reclustering, there are a lot of them, and so it's nice to hide them up there as well.
The walls come up high enough where the mechanical units are pretty well hidden on the roof, and what happens with metal roofs, you have to put all your mechanical stuff around the perimeter, pretty much so.
Yeah.
So this gets it out of sight, out of mind, and we've had less trouble with those roofs than about any
Absolutely.
other system in that.
Yes.
What would the impact be if we were to want solar panels on those? Have you all ever done that?
Not for a school, we haven't. We've looked at, solar
was the
panels. Have you ever looked at an impact study of solar panels?
Impact study?
Yeah, using solar panels instead?
Oh, we can. We could do, we've done geothermal, and all that. It seems like with most trouble-free in today's economy and fairly near future, your best option, lowest maintenance is electric cooling and natural gas heat. And so that's what we've been doing. And we have a above code compliant insulation on the building to stay to fairly standard systems. A lot of things. Now, solar panels are maybe more trouble-free. There's been a lot of trouble with geothermal systems. They're not totally maintenance-free, and if you have a problem, it's 300 feet down in the ground and hard to deal with. And, so I think we feel like your best value is traditional gas heat and electric cooling.
Especially
sure.
with the new code compliant insulation and everything, and we always go above minimum code compliance. And so, especially taking your existing buildings that were built many years ago to a new building with the codes that we have now, they are quite efficient buildings.
We'll have
Sure,
an
and I'm just
R9.
talking about just the ability to have solar panels on the roof to offset electric. That's what I'm.
You can certainly put them up there,
Absolutely,
yes.
you could.
This is,
There would be plenty of space.
or you might choose to take them off the building and just have a solar panel system and then wire it into the building where it isn't actually on the building. That's another approach to that.
I don't know that we have the acreage for that.
We use most of it. And by most, I mean all.
The clear story that Aaron was referring to highlight the gold bug is that there, and showing it there, and you'll be able to look in there, and that'll get lit at night, you'll be able to see that thing. It's at an angle, it's kind of glowing in that atrium space. It ought to be pretty dramatic.
So the design idea is that during the day, when the sun shines in at all different angles, it will really have a really cool light and shadow play of the gold bug hitting all different walls. The other cool thing is at night, we want to light it so that when you're driving down the hallway, or down the highway, you can look in and see this big gold bug in the windows. And
So it's gonna be angled.
absolutely, yeah. Yeah. What else? Good questions. Okay, well, thank you so much for letting me present. Feel free to ask any questions if you need.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4, presentation by Stephen L. Smith Corporation concerning financial consultation on a future bond project.
So, on what you just saw on the new school, they estimate 31.1 million,
I'm sorry, say it again.
31.1
Thank you.
million to build that new facility. And still working estimates on the high school parking, that would be a second, if we think there's enough bond capacity there. So, that, I've asked Andy Davis to also be here tonight to talk about what our bond capacity is and what the financials would look like and some of that kind of stuff on the bond issue. Andy?
Ready? All right. Well, good evening. Andy Davis, Stephen L. Smith, who I've talked with and met with Mr. Brashears several times over the last year or so. This is my first time in front of you guys, so we appreciate the opportunity to work with you all and look forward to this project. I thought I might just briefly let you know a little bit about who we are, since you've never seen me before, just so you kind of know who our company is and what we do. It'll sound long, but I promise it'll be short. But my granddad started in municipal finance in Oklahoma back in 1919, and did that for years and years in a lot of schools and cities. Helped write a lot of the municipal finance laws. He did that forever. My dad and Steve Smith, who our company's named after, went to work for him from another finance firm in 1977. They worked together as partners for about 20 years until the 90s. My dad retired. Steve kept going. I went to work for Steve in 2002. His son Jordan went in 2003. So we've been there for about 23 years each. Steve retired in 2010. We bought him out, so now Jordan and I have been around about the last 15 years. So that's kind of who we are. We're kind of a one or two trick pony. We work with school districts in Oklahoma primarily. Every once in a while we do a VOTEC or a city or a county, but very rarely. 99% of what we do is just school districts in Oklahoma. We do bond issues and leases, and that's about it. We travel all over the state doing that. We're out of the Tulsa area. So we have about 5 employees, so we're pretty small. But we kind of like it that way. We're not out trying to be the biggest of every school in the state. We're pretty happy with the number of clients we got. Keeps us plenty busy and helps us to hopefully take the time to kind of tailor fit the right thing for you. Just because it's good for you doesn't mean it's good for the next person and so forth. So we hopefully can have the right kind of bond program that fits for you guys. So that's just a little bit about who we are. I just wanted you to know kind of who you're working with and kind of what we do and where we came from. So briefly, I did all that. So, Mr. Brashears, like I said, we've been talking for a year, maybe. We've run dozens, probably, of different options and bond schedules to look at, with different, costs to your billings and everything. And so I brought two different options with me tonight. I know you're still kind of working through maybe what the final plan will be and what those costs will be. So I brought two. It's not pick one or pick two. These are kind of designed to give you guys ideas of, okay, this is about where we think the project's going to land. So you can look at these two options and say, okay, we know we can tweak a little bit if we need to. It's not just this one or that one, but hopefully this gives us a good amount of information, to at least think about what might fit best for you all. And if we need to come back next month and tweak our numbers a little bit, we can certainly do that. So, like you mentioned a minute ago, kind of the projects are in that 30 to 35 million range, how many you do. So that's kind of the different options that we brought. In an ideal world, you all as a school would just go vote $30 million or $35 million. You'd vote it, you'd sell it one time, it'd go into your bond fund, and you'd spend it. But you have a problem like most schools, is that's over your bonding capacity. So legally, schools are limited in how much you can have in bonds outstanding. And it's 10% of your net assessed value, which this year you guys are at $132 million and change. So your bonding capacity is about $13 million. So that doesn't get us very close to getting these projects done. So what we do, like here in this case and with most schools, we just call it a series bond. And what that means is we're going to vote all the money all at once, but we're only going to sell a portion of it every year over a series of years. And by doing that, those bonds aren't considered against your debt capacity until they're sold. So by spreading them out over a series of years, we never get over that bonding capacity. But that creates a timing problem. We don't want to wait a year or 2 years or 10 years to get our money with our project. We want to build our project now on today's dollar. So what happens is, we vote all the bonds at once, assuming it passes. After it passes, we go and sell the first bond issue, and then instead of waiting until the next year, we go and do a loan where the school would do a lease purchase. We go to the bank and say, hey, Mr. Banker, we've got all these bonds that have been voted and approved, but we've got a timing problem. Will you loan us money now in 2026? We'll use that loan or lease purchase, we'll build everything, and then as those future bond monies come in, we pay that loan back. So that's kind of what we're looking at here tonight, is a couple of different series bond options, and maybe it'll hopefully make a little more sense as I give you these. I apologize, all I have is, they have nice pretty pictures, I just have spreadsheets. So these are not very exciting, but give you something visual to look at, and it's easier for me to kind of explain, I think, if I've got something in my hand, so. Got one. Anybody else interested? Not that exciting, but if you want one, you got to do more. No. Okay. So this is just called the bond schedule. That's what we call this. So what this is going to tell us how much we're going to sell, when we're going to sell it, for how long, and then how it affects our taxes. So I want to start up here in the very top left corner. You're going to see two different numbers up here. You'll see 46,940,000 series bond, net 32,340,000. So what that means is we're going to vote 46,940,000. That's the only number that's on any official documents as far as what goes on the ballot, what gets printed in the newspaper. All that stuff is always going to be 46,940,000. You all as a board administration know out of that we're going to have about 32.3 million in spendable dollars. So how do we get to those two numbers? So now we look down here at our timing. So if you look down the left-hand side, these are going to be the annual bond sales. The top one there in blue font says 5.1 million bond issued dated June of 26. And then every year thereafter, as you track down, we're selling bonds. Now how do we get to those numbers? With any bond program, there's kind of three different variables we're working with. One is the cost of the projects, which we've kind of determined with that 35 million. Two is the term, how far out are we going to go? And then three is the tax impact, what it's going to cost our patrons. So we typically kind of set two of those variables and then kind of solve for the third. So we know what our cost is going to be. We have that rough dollar amount figured out. We talked with Mr. Brashears, I don't think we want to go longer than 15 years. And so we look at several different tax impacts. So this first one, if you'll track into the bottom, you'll see annual levy and millage rate. So this takes us, just your sinking fund, currently you know how many bonds outstanding here at 0 mils. This takes us 20 mils. And you can see it stays flat there throughout the entire term of this. So almost what we do is we say, how much can we sell, how much can we issue in any 1 year, and keep us at that 20 mils? And so we say, okay, well in year one, we can sell 5.1 million. We collect the taxes out here to the right. That keeps us at 20 mils. In year two, we can do 2.6 million. Again, that keeps us at 20 mils. And then we just, how far out do we have to go to get to 30 million? So we almost back into these numbers on the left based on our millage rate we're trying to hit. So this first one, again, the target was we need 32 million, we wanted it 20 mils, it's gonna take us out 15 years. And so the difference, I'm gonna back up track a little bit now, the difference between these two numbers, the 46 and the 32, like I mentioned before, after the bond passes, we're gonna issue this first 5.1, that gets us a pretty good chunk going, but then we don't wanna wait till 27, 28, 30, we wanna go to that lease purchase. So by the time we pay that banker back the lease purchase, we're gonna pay him back the 46 million. So I'll try to simplify it, it's like a car loan. You can't afford $20,000 in cash for a car, but you can afford payments over time. By the time you pay back your car loan, you're gonna pay back 25,000, whatever that number is. We vote the 25,000, not just the cost of the car. We vote the cost plus the interest cost to pay it back. So the difference between those numbers is that interest cost to pay back that lease purchase.
Over 15
Yes, ma'am. So if you track it to the very bottom, you said very last sales in 2041. So we're looking at 15 years. So I've got that interest rate at 5.5%. That's what we have to estimate. We don't know until we go to fund it what that's going to be. 5.5 is a little bit high. Rates right now on that kind of lease are in the 4.5 range. So I've got a pretty good cushion built in there. But we're not talking about doing this until probably 8, 9, 10 months from now. So we don't always know what rates are going to do. No one has a crystal ball. So we always try to estimate a little bit high. What that means, if its rates stay at 4.5, or even if they come up to 5, we're still below, this net number is gonna go up. Because the difference between those two is that interest cost. So we're paying less interest, we're gonna have more money to spend. So more often than not, this is kind of a worst case scenario of how much you're gonna have in net. As long as rates don't go really crazy, you should have a little more to spend. We always wanna estimate real conservatively and make sure you have at least as much money as you need to get things done. So again, the main things on this first one, the vote amount is 46.9 million. You're gonna sell bonds for 15 years, and that's gonna put you at 20 mils. Now, nobody really knows or cares what a mil is. So if you look at the second page, this is what your paper is gonna win. How much is it gonna cost me? Everyone loves new projects. Sometimes when they gotta tell you how much you gotta pay for, that's when it gets a little iffy. So on this back page, what we've got here on the left-hand side, this is our mill chart. So you can set up the county, the VOTAC, the school. This is what your millages are at currently in 25, 26. The next one is if you add 20 mills to it. And so this chart on the right then is the dollars and cents. This is the one that people are really going to care about. So if we do flyers and things on your website or whatever, this is really the chart we're going to put in that people want to see. So what this chart shows is what you pay in taxes right now. They're all just nice round numbers. So let's just go to the very bottom. If you pay $1,000 a year right now in property taxes, it's going to go up to about $1,268. And so that's about $268 per year, or about $22 a month. And what this does, someone can look at their tax bill and say, well, I pay about, $1,200. Okay, well, you're going to take the 1,000 plus the 200, you're going to add those together, it's 22 and 2, I'm at $25 a month. So this is something people can use, look at their own tax bill, and kind of quickly figure out, okay, what's it going to cost me to do that? And again, yes, always important. And then the idea is it goes up that very first year, but then it stays flat throughout the 15 years. It doesn't go up and keep going up. It goes up there, and that's a consistent rate for that 15-year period.
When you sell these bonds like that every year, do you factor in different interest rates that you sell them?
Yes, ma'am.
So, we can see historically what 15 years has done for us. So you pick the average, would you say 5.5, is that?
So 5.5 is on the lease purchase, or that loan we're going to do. Bonds actually sell lower than lease purchases. So those first several years, I think at 4.5, and then I taper it up a little bit as we go further out in the future.
But what you sell them at affects the other side, right?
So there's two things going on at one time. And what you sell these individual bonds at, what that affects is your millage rate. So the higher your interest rate on selling these bonds, your millage rate could be up a little. If there's a year when interest rates are down, your millage rate could be down just a little. But that's only going to affect this millage rate. The other interest rate we're talking about, the 5.5 mentioned, that affects this number here.
What you're gonna borrow in the beginning.
Correct. Yeah. And that number is set up front. So when we do that loan or that lease purchase, whatever that rate is, that's locked from the front. So we'll know, as soon as we do that, how much money you have to spend next year. These can, like you said, can fluctuate a little bit as you go out and sell bonds every year. That first one is locked in from the beginning.
What's the difference between this loan and the master lease program? borrow money through the master?
I'm not as familiar with that, but it's not something I know that a lot of schools do, I guess. This is a pretty standard, this is what I'd say 95% of all schools use. I mean, from the smallest schools we work with all the way up to the biggest 6A schools. Most of them are in the same boat, where their needs, their construction costs are more than what they can do in a one-time bond. So they do this series bond, and then the lease purchase, that can be a few different, you can kind of structure it different ways, but it's kind of the same concept.
One more question.
Yes, absolutely.
Most of us, when we got our first home loan, it was for 30 years.
Mhm.
And we were used to 30-year
Mhm.
amortization in most loans that we have. And I know that we tend to think that's too much for school. Why is that school thought that 30 years is okay for
Yeah.
us on the resident side, but we think that's too long?
It's a great question. Yeah, it's a great question. We get it a lot, and it's very common. There was, for a long, long time, most of these series bonds, they'd go 7, maybe 10 years was the max. And as construction costs have gotten higher and school valuations haven't grown as fast, they've gotten longer and longer. Then it was 10 to 12 years, and then 12 to 15, and now some schools are going really long, 20 years. But the reason schools don't like to do that, because what you're doing for this entire 15 years is you're sort of locking up your bonding capacity or any bonds you're going to do at that millage rate.
So you're saying this is our maximum?
No, not at all.
No, I didn't think so.
No, not at all.
Okay.
That just puts you there. But the reason people don't want to go longer is because what this is saying is unless we want to come back in the next 5, 10, 15 years, either this is all the bonds we're going to do for 15 years, or if we need to come back in between then it's going to be a tax increase again over and above that. That's why schools don't want to go 30 years, because most schools know in the next 10, 15, 30 years, we're going to have some other needs we need to address, and the only way we're addressing is bonds.
Not to be argumentative.
No.
But the 30-year hit is half to the taxpayers, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that does give you bonding capacity during that 15 extra years, and that you might have to come back in and build a new high school.
That's right.
Come in and do, it makes the hit half.
Mhm.
You still have you still have that much more bonding capacity, and we still can say, well, if we need buses, or we need transportation bonds, or we need to build a high school, or whatever, or we need to build whatever, I just didn't understand.
Well, and this is the same way. So, like you said, this is not your max. At no time during this 15 years are you near your bonding capacity.
Oh, no.
In any one of these years, you're going to be at about 5 to 6 million, and like I mentioned, your bonding capacity is 13 million. So we could go much higher on these and up the millage rate or shorten the term, but we're trying to find a nice medium. And so, just like you're saying, if 5 years down the road, you're like, hey, we need some buses or some technology, or we want to do another building, you can certainly vote another bond issue and issue it at any time during this period. But because we've already got these set in place, you'll be kind of layering it over the top, if that makes sense. So it might be that we go up from 20 mils at that point. But you certainly can, just like you're saying.
No, I just want to understand.
And one of an additional challenge, I'm probably getting too far in the weeds here, but since you asked, if we go to 30 years,
You need to be in the weeds.
there's a couple things that happens. One is we've already got a pretty big interest cost here at 15 years. If we go 30 years, at some point, you get to where you're not even paying off all the principal every year. And so that gets detrimental. You can't really do a financing that goes that long unless you're paying off principal every year. And you get to a point where it doesn't make sense anymore, and it just can't actually be funded. A bank won't fund that. Secondly to that, it's hard to find banks to go that long. They're pretty comfortable with home loans going 30 years. Not a lot of banks and financing companies want to do school buildings that long, for whatever reason. 15, 20 years is about the max we've seen on that. And even going 15 and 20 years, you lose a lot of what I would call your local banks, like an Alva State Bank. A lot of banks like that, I'm not saying they won't, I don't want to speak for them, but I know a lot of the ones we've worked with, they kind of cap out about 10 or 12 years. And it's probably just their policy. I don't know why, but that seems to be the thing. So at some point, even at 15, we're probably looking at more of a financing institution as opposed to a traditional bank, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. They're a little more expensive. They're not always as easy to work with as your local bank might be, but they're out there. And that's why, again, going longer, you can do it, but there's just some drawbacks to it.
So basically, the bottom line is that this scenario consumes about half of our
Roughly.
Yeah, roughly half.
Yep.
And so we still have room if we
Correct.
do something else.
Yeah. And the biggest thing that can change that, really what drives this millage rate every year in your bonding capacity is your net assessed valuation. So we've got a tiny bit of growth built into your valuation, not much, just a little bit to keep it kind of steady. If for some reason something came into your district and that valuation went up, when your valuation goes up, your millage rate's going to go down. It works inversely. So if it does continue to rise up a little bit, it may be that in a few years you could do something else without raising over 20 mils. It just depends on what that valuation does. So there's some options there that could happen. Nobody knows that. We can't say for sure, but if that were to happen, that's something we look at every year and keep schools up to date on. If they looks at the valuation's grown, they can do another bond issue. They want to, we can make you aware of that.
So if our valuation went up $500,000 in the county, millage rates would drop.
Yeah.
Corresponding.
And then depending on how much you want to do, we would plug in and say, yeah, maybe you could do a few $100,000 or $1 million or whatever that kind of number looks like at that point. Good questions. Any others on this schedule before I give you the other option? Does that structure make sense for base? Okay, hopefully that's too complex, but it's a little bit different, I know that. So this other option, it's basically the same thing. All we've done is we've bumped our millage rate up a little bit, and you can see by doing that, it's going to deliver more dollars. So I kind of want you to be able to see how changing one of the variables changes what you can do. So again, same bond schedule. Now if you look up in the top left corner, you'll see two different numbers over there before. So now we're at 51.2 million is our vote number to net about 35.29, 35.3. And again, how we did that was it's the same term. We're still going out 15 years, but if you look at your millage rate, we bumped it up from 20 to 22. So by bumping your millage rate up, you can sell a little bit more each year. And so that bumps those numbers up correspondingly. So in the same process, if you flip the page, the second page, you'll see now what a 22 mil increase looks like versus 20 mils. And it's up just slightly. The last one was about $26 per hundred. Yeah, this one's about $29 per hundred. So just a slightly larger tax increase as you raise that millage rate. See that? Too redundant. Like I said, here are the identical schedules. We're just changing the millage rate to see how you can change that numbers. And again, I want to kind of what I started with. It's not pick option A or pick option B. These are hopefully food for thought, so that as you all kind of refine your projects and your project costs, you kind of know the ballpark and kind of roughly where you're going to be. And if you say, hey Andy, these look close, but we really need 33 million, 36 million, 30 million, we can kind of tweak and stay relatively similar to what we've got, as long as we don't change drastically. So, I mean, 50 million, we're going to have to do something a little bit different. But as long as we're pretty close to that, at least we can tweak our schedules to usually fit kind of what you need.
Where we got to with these two schedules was new buildings estimate cost $31.1 million. So that's going to be at $32 million. The first schedule we showed us. We allot $2 million for the parking lot project. That pitch up to 35 million. I told him to get those two numbers. So that's where that came from.
The project at Washington, is it totally completed with the donated money? Do we have to put any with it?
Maybe a little bit.
What's a little bit mean?
20,000. The last numbers I looked at on that. So, yeah, 99% of that's going to be donated money.
Any questions?
Questions, Randy? Thank you for your
You're
work.
welcome. Sometimes it's, you kind of get some of this, anything questions later, so if you do, just let Mr. Brashears know. He can get hold of me. I'm happy to email and text, whatever we need to do to get more information. Thank you all.
Item 5, discussion of council board action. And the vote to approve a contract addendum with Corbin, Mertz, and Haney for future bond issue construction project.
Just busy with Eric Nelson, our law, council, in preparation for this. It's just specify the 2026 bond proposal, and the contracts we already have in place. So that's what those next two agenda items are, is construction manager and for
Is that the one we approved last month?
do
Is that the contract we approved last month?
no. Contract approved last month was for Steve Smith. So it's just specifying verbiage in those contracts to include the 2026 bond.
So on the Article 11, it's guys, which is the compensation. And this is for the architect's basic service. Now, this is what's exists now. Is that changing?
Article 11.
Yeah.
They're
So
here, so
long
I'll let them answer. Their contract question.
So we're amending the additional, I guess I'm trying to determine.
We're amending the original.
Yeah, I'm trying to determine what, is that part of the amendment, or is that the way it is in the original concept?
Okay, yes, so this is also an amendment. In our original contract, we were doing these projects for 6%. We've lowered it to 5% to save you some extra money as well. Since we are lumping so many projects, we wanted to reduce our fees. So that is an amendment to this bond project as well.
So that would be the 5% of 31 million,
Yes, yes.
which is 1.55 million. 10% is 3.1 million. That's gonna come from somewhere.
And we do correct something wrong with we went to the bond schedules to give you the 46 million total vote versus the 32 delivered. Financial advisor's fees is part of that 46 million. So
That's right, the 32 is what you'll have deposited into your account for all projects meaning any construction, any architect's fees, construction manager fees, that's how much you're gonna have to spend on, we've taken our fees out, and any fees related to the financing have already been taken out of that number.
Yep, that makes sense.
Great question, thank you, Paul. Anybody else? Clarification? Is there a motion to approve the contract addendum with Borland, Mertz, and Haney for future bond issue construction project?
I need a little more time, please.
Yes, you may. You can have all the time you want, Mr. Paul.
When's our next board?
January 6th.
I think I'd be more comfortable if we took these two actual building committee and looked at these a little bit closer. I think they're fine. And I think,
Otherwise, look at it.
I think we've, I mean,
It's reverse.
Easiest thing sometimes is to dance on the subject.
I know,
About as good a job as I've ever made. I think I understood.
I forget about an hour, but for that,
I read through it, and that was the main
I
question I
couldn't
had,
tell.
was the
A
percentage.
quick shot.
What the
Yeah.
difference was. I looked to see if it was redlined. I think they probably are good, and I just think if we get an opportunity to register, to go over it with us. besides off this, a hard copy in front of us
The highlight.
to really look at, I think that probably just fine. I just feel like I feel like, well, maybe you guys are really looked at them, and I apologize.
No, I actually,
have not.
I think it's a really good deal, because I skimmed through it.
Would you like more time to
I would like more time.
absorb it?
Yeah.
Okay.
About,
Probably.
so if
It's a big deal.
you're okay with
Well, I got the verbiage from our school attorney late. He was, it just took a minute to get it, and so it wasn't rushed.
it's just a pretty big deal for us.
It is a big deal.
So should we table this until the January 6th meeting?
The contracts?
Yeah, the contracts.
We have contracts in place now, those are just
Right.
amendments to
These are just,
Sure.
current
That's right,
contracts.
additional.
and lowering a fee is very costly.
That is a very
That's,
positive thing.
it's not, we're not looking at something
No,
that's.
it's just-
No, that's fine, if you need time to read them.
But I just think I would just really, look at them a little closer and make sure that we're, my personal opinion, I don't go along with whatever everybody else thinks.
You okay with that? This side of the table is hiding from me, so I have to put it in. Kids at school, but don't want to make the teacher. I need a motion to table until the January 6th on item, 5, currently we're discussing. So table that until January 6th school board meeting. There a motion?
I move.
I second.
Hanson,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Pingleton,
Yes.
Barton.
Yes.
Item 6, discussion with possible board action vote to approve the contract addendum from Kyler Construction for a future bond issue construction project.
Well, I think we're in the same situation.
I'd recommend tabling it and do
Okay.
both at the same time.
I entertain that motion.
Yes,
Thank you.
I second.
Kane,
Yes.
McDermott,
yes.
Pingleton,
Yes.
Barton,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Do we have any documentations that need to be signed?
No.
No. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Does,
I'm sorry, go back.
we have Kyler Construction in the room, is there anything they want to talk to us about, or?
Just here to answer any questions about the start project, cost or anything, so.
So, it's good.
How many projects has Kyler been involved in with the, I know you've been Northwest Technology Center.
Out here
Oh,
or overall?
In his community.
Northwest Technology Center here in
Couple of them.
Fairview. We haven't done anything for the college.
Okay.
Tried a couple of times. And for the public schools.
Okay.
We did the art building, we did the cafeteria
Sure,
renovation.
sure.
Is anything?
We've done
They took what Eric said.
2 or 3 rounds with
First
Northwest
time, this is the first time.
at Fairview and
Here.
the hospital.
I know you've been out there.
We did an addition and a remodel at the hospital as well.
So when I go out there, I'll be able to say strongly that I have not. So you guys have.
I appreciate the board's due diligence. This is a big deal for us. Huge. You can look at all of our school buildings and realize we have some work to do. And I appreciate the board's incentive, their dedication to move. We haven't moved for a while, and it's time to move. And things we're getting more expensive, but heaven forbid, we have to put this off. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate when you take the time to look at it thoroughly. We'll have a lot of questions from our community. And we'll be able to address those questions and concerns with confidence, so I appreciate that.
I would encourage each one of us to take the time to go in and visit with Mr. Bashir's about it.
Certainly.
Not just us as a committee, but a one-on-one with him. I know that would help me if I just think when we go out to talk about it to our peers, if we're as knowledgeable as we want to be, I think it'll be good. It'll be solid,
Okay.
solid leadership.
Good point.
And I would welcome that.
Certainly. buckle down and do some homework. It's nice to dream, but not when you take some actions.
Right.
Okay. Any other concerns, challenges before I ask for an adjournment?
I'd just like to thank you all for being here and coming, and, you know,
Pleased to be here, thank you.
and we're gonna keep moving forward.
We are. It's a positive thing. Your trip was not wasted. It enlightened me a bunch, so thank you for your expertise and thank you for,
And the wind's at our back, don't it?
well, you made good gas mileage for it home.
Yes, for it.
Hopefully it'll calm down a little bit. Gee, it was a bad day.
I was in Dodge City, it was worse.
Oh, I'm sorry.
30 to 40 mile an hour winds with gusts to 65.
Oh, well, we had some gusts.
I was in a
I'd like to
trailer too.
congratulate you on the diligence you looked at. For the public's edification on you, looked at every possible option and their cost, trying to preserve what you have, and it's been a pleasure going through that with you.
Well, thank you.
And tradition, I know is important in a community at some point. Change that becomes necessary, just jump on to another idea. So,
We appreciate your cooperation with us.
I know that's tough for you on a local level, making some of those decisions.
Absolutely.
But it's, we'll try to do what's best for our kids, so that's what's the bottom line importance is.
That's exactly right.
Adjournment, motion?
Second.
Did Kevin, was that you?
Yes, it was, I'm sorry.
That's okay, I'm good. Okay, let's say Barton,
Yes.
Hanson, Kane,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Singleton.
Yes.